Hey guys, welcome back to Prep Talk on Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve, and yes, we're taking over the kitchen today, mostly because I'm bored. So stay with me. As is our usual on Prep Talk, let's start with a word of prayer. Merciful Father, the world is in turmoil, and many people have voiced fears. Many people have already headed to their locations. Many people are worried. Please be with them, comfort them. We need to lift up to you several people who have been infected with this virus and are fighting it off. The people who are in fear because they know they may have been exposed. They know that they were around that person or this person or another person who has tested positive, and they are isolating and waiting to see if they show symptoms. We need to lift up our first responders to you today who are still rolling every time the tones go off. We need to lift up to you our doctors, our nurses, our people who are doing triage at our hospitals, the people who are administering these tests. Be with them, keep them safe, and walk with them, Lord. And for those who are ill, comfort them, be with them, and help them through this. And help us to come through this event on the other side. Amen. So, I'm in the kitchen. No, this isn't going to be a cooking show per se, but how do I say this? I like playing in the kitchen. It has always been a joy of mine. But, and here's where it gets fun, I don't get to do it as often as I'd like. I end up doing a lot of the cooking here at the house for the family. And usually it ends up being, shall we say, meals to put calories in people. I don't do a whole lot of playing. I don't break out my bok choy. I don't break out the things I like to experiment with. And sometimes not even the things I like to taste. You know, for now, I am playing with soda bread, Irish soda bread. And it's going to be fun for me because I like it. But I was talking with Miss Kim, and we decided that I might play a little bit. So I'm going to try making Irish soda bread in a crock pot today. Now, why is this worthy of a prep talk? Well, mostly because what got me thinking of doing a bread was something that happened at the store the other day. I had gone in to really see what was going on. I didn't need anything. And there was this young lady, definitely not of my generation, buying flour and sugar. And out of curiosity, I said, hey, what are you planning on making? And she said, well, there's no bread in the bread aisle, so I'm going to do it myself. Hey, sounds cool. I said, well, did you get everything you need? Well, yes, I've got it all right here. And I looked at it, looked at what she had. Well, here's a question, are you going to do a beer bread, or are you doing, something else? Oh, I'm just making sandwich bread, like is supposed to be in the bread aisle. And I took a deep breath. And I had to wonder, how was I going to tell or ask this young thing the question that was on my mind? So finally I said, okay, do you mind if I ask what you're using for a rising agent? Oh, what do you mean? I said, well, most people will use yeast to have the bread rise. I'd see you don't have any yeast packages. What are you planning? Well, what's yeast? Isn't that? And she proceeded to go in a medical direction with it. I said, no, yeast is a very important ingredient, in some breads. And I took her over and I explained to her a little bit about yeast. And it got me wondering, how many other kids out there really are trying something they may have seen grandmother do, but didn't pay attention as to what they're doing, or what grandma was doing, or missed a step, missed an ingredient. And that's what we're going to talk about in a second, is ingredients. Movie magic, right guys? I had to go grab some flour to put on my wood, my board. Missing ingredients. Right now everyone is a little up in arms. Many people are afraid of what's going on. There's not a whole lot of peace in the world right now. There's not a whole lot of peace in people's hearts. They're afraid. I'll admit I'm afraid. I'm watching these updates. I'm keeping an eye on my internet speed. I watch how occasionally it blinks in and out, and I wonder, okay, in some of the books that we've read, we talk about these services going out. It's scary. And yet, for some of us, we've prepared. We've put ourselves in a position where we believe we will be able to succeed. For many of us out there, we have our religious beliefs as well. Many of you know mine. We've talked off camera. And that brings peace. For me to be able to put all of this in a higher power's hands, in God's hands, and say, it's your deal, man. I have done everything I could as a friend, a husband, a father, a prepper, to lay up my oil, to have it ready to go, to have everything in play for just such a time as this. The rest is up to you. I have friends who are not as well prepared. In my heart, I'm going to do the best I can to take care of them. But in the end, the people inside this house are my primary responsibilities. And I'm at peace. Each day something new happens. Each day there is a new announcement, a new something to fear. A new frustration. You know, kids are now doing their schoolwork from home. Have to keep an eye on the fact that they're actually doing their schoolwork. I have to keep an eye on what's in the pantry. I have to wonder, the milk that we got yesterday, and that's not it, I'm using an older milk jug to get that out, may not be there tomorrow. You know, a few days ago there weren't any eggs. Eggs. Bread was there that day. Eggs were gone. Another day it's the coffee aisle is picked clean. What seems to be a staple is the vegetarian meats in the deli section or in the produce section. No one's touching. I may have a protein source. So, we're talking about missing ingredients. To me, from my perspective, one of the big missing ingredients for many people is peace. You know, you can talk about a belief system, you can talk about your religion, my religion, your beliefs, my beliefs. We can debate all day long in the comments. And I'm sure we're going to have a couple who take offense to me even talking about religion, and they're going to come after us for me talking about my flying spaghetti monster in the sky. That's fine. If you're an individual who can believe in nothing and believe in yourself, or believe in nothing outside of yourself, and just believe in you and your skills and your preps and your abilities, I'm good for you. I can't. I've seen too much that has told me there is something else out there, something to believe in. And kind of like yeast that this young lady was missing in her bread supplies, I would be having an extremely hard time making it through this situation without my faith and my beliefs. So I'm going to urge those of you who've been thinking of going back to a religious system, go. Whether you believe in it or not, what can it hurt? And you might find something you were missing in your life. For me, I rejected a belief in the Most High once upon a time. For me, I grew up in a conservative church. We've talked about this. I studied to be a pastor. I was a assistant pastor in a district for a couple of years during college. They called it practicum. And the pastor that I was working with turned half of his district over to me, and one of the deacons told me later, said, we haven't seen him at all since you came in. And then there were some events that changed things for me. For me, it's a missing ingredient. For me, it was something that I needed. And if you don't need it, more power to you. I could say something smart alecky like you're in my prayers. I won't. But if you're watching Prep Talk, you know that we get religious and we get philosophical on here. You are in my prayers. I want to urge you to take this time as we're shoring up gaps in our preps, as we are analyzing day by day what's going on. Take some time to look outside of you and your situation. Spend some time with your Creator. Search. Search for whatever is out there, whatever you can find. And see where it takes you. Life is a journey, guys. And our journey takes many twists and turns. 25, 30 years ago, I would have told you, I'm going to be the fire department of New York City's EMS chief. A 4-star. Not just a battalion chief, but I'm going to be a deputy chief of the FDNY. I'm in a small town in Arkansas. And I'm happy here. Because that's where I've been led. That's where my path took me. We're going to come back in a bit, and we're going to see what happens with this little project. I've made up my dough out of my mix. I added a cup of milk to make the dough. I have put parchment paper to line my crock pot. And we're putting it on high. In an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'm going to come back, I'm going to check it, and I'm going to see where it's at. If it's almost done, probably do a toothpick test. And we may talk some more then. But we're going to let it cook and see if cooking bread in a crock pot is a viable option. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you shortly. So hey guys, thanks for joining me for Prep Talk. 3 hours and 15 minutes later, we have, let's see if I can try not to burn myself, a loaf of Irish soda bread out of a crock pot. So, for those of you who still have power in the current apocalypse, crock pot can bake bread. Anyway, thanks for joining me for Prep Talk today, and I will see you shortly. What, you want to taste it?
Well, what'd you do? You made soda bread?
I made Irish
Of course, I
soda
want to
bread.
taste it. I want to taste it. Make it a cameo. Hey, break it. That's how you know good bread is. Break it.
It's hot.
It is hot.
It's hot.
I was like, ooh.
I mean, it's a little doughy on the top side, but
Oh, let me try that. Ooh, that is really, really hot.
what I can do next time is I can flip it. But it's,
I need to get some of my jarred butter.
oh my. Oh my.
A little crispy around the edges. If you like
I yeah.